I think we should start learning history from first grade in primary school, without needing to set up a separate morality class, because the content of the morality class can all be included in history. History classes can be made very interesting, using historical stories to cover a lot of content. Of course, the history I am talking about is real history, not historical politics. So, if we study history, I think we should begin with learning Chinese history. Then, in learning Chinese history, what should we focus on? I think we should focus on what mistakes China made in history, what things were done wrong, what problems we have. Looking at oneself means seeing what problems we have. Relatively speaking, studying Chinese history is very important, but I think it's more important for us to study American history. Why should we study American history? It's like being in a class with many students. Should a student who isn't performing well learn from a poor student or a top student? It's obvious that we can't 像朝鲜. To learn, of course, we should look up to the most advanced and developed country in the world now, the United States, and the United States is like the top student in this class, and it has a lot of mature experiences. We should study it seriously. Just like if you want to build a car, would you create it behind closed doors? Or would you first buy a mature car from the West and replicate it exactly? After making it, then slowly improve it? If you don't even have the ability to make an exact replica, and you just think about how to do it while crossing the river by feeling the stones, aren't you closer to falling into a pit? Isn't it even easier to fall into the water? And after falling into the water, who will pay the price? Isn't it the entire nation that has to pay? Therefore, I think we should focus more on learning American history. When we study American history, it's mainly to learn from its mature experiences, its strengths, and why it made the right choices at certain times, and how it achieved these things. So, when we have finished learning American history and Chinese history, then, if there is a third choice, what history should we study? My son said, we should study European history. I think his answer is very correct. We definitely should study European history. Because European history is Western history. And Western history is now the core idea of the entire world history is in the Western European history. However, when we study American history, we actually also cover a part of European history. So I think studying European history is also a correct answer, but if I have to say, I think we should also study Japanese history. So, why should we study Japanese history? I have another analogy. In a school, there are many classes. Among them, there's a chicken class and an extra class. But this chicken class always bullies the students of the extra class. Study. And these classmates from the Chi class can never outperform those from the G class in exams. In other words, they often get beaten up by the G class. The G class is always beating up the Chi class classmates, and the Chi class doesn't study as well as them. So don't you think the classmates from the Chi class should carefully study the G class classmates? Shouldn't they study the G class well? Why does this class always like to beat us up? Why can't we beat him? Isn't this worth studying? So from this point, I think we should study Japanese history well. That's my thought on studying history.